Hi everyone, my name is Jen and this is Beast House of Plants, where we talk about all things houseplant and home design. Welcome back. So excited for today's episode of the Houseplant Alphabet, which is a series where I show you some of my houseplants. We talk about my experience growing them, what conditions they're currently being grown inside my house. So excited to show you today's plant because it's one that I feel like I've really gotten in the groove with, and I think it looks amazing right now. You guys know if you watch this series that I'm not shy about showing you my ugly plants and the plants that I'm struggling with, but I am prouder to show you a plant today that I have previously struggled with, but now I feel like I've really nailed down the care for. So yeah, let's get into it. Also, let me do my disclaimer that I am not a plant expert. This is not a definitive care guide, just my experience and my opinion. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so today's plant is HS4 Philodendron Hastatum, also known as the Philodendron Silver Sword. I believe this plant is the round form of the Silver Sword, but I'm not entirely sure. I feel like my plant is still too juvenile to like know 100%, and also I only have the one, so I don't really have anything to compare it to, but I do believe that this is the round form. I don't know enough about the differentiation between the two forms to give you an answer for that. I would recommend you check out some Facebook groups for that information. I've definitely seen a lot of posts that have comparisons between the two. Alright, so Philodendron Hastatum. Let me give you a close-up of my plant. It's cute. I like it a lot. This is mechanical damage. I was watering it and it got caught on another plant and it ripped the leaves, but all of the other leaves look great. Okay, let's talk about care for this plant. So let's start with lighting. This plant is currently on my plant shelf wall. It is underneath the Sansi grow bulb. Great grow light, highly recommend. I always have a link to that one in the description below for you. It was at a point underneath just the strip light, but it got too tall, so then I had to move it to underneath the Sansi grow bulb, and it seems really happy there. It definitely does look like it's starting to put out slightly bigger leaves, which I think for two reasons. First, I put the stake in there so the plant hopefully feels a little bit more secure, even though, you know, it's kind of a mini stake and I don't know how much support it's like actually giving the plant, but also would give credit to the grow light for getting me some slightly bigger leaves. I honestly don't think this one is like too fussy about the amount of light it was getting, because if you remember, for a long time there, my plant shelf didn't have grow lights underneath every single shelf, and this was one of the only plants that was still putting out growth during that period of time, although I didn't have you know, adequate lighting for my plants. So I don't think it is too fussy about plants. Too fussy about light. But with that being said, obviously if you want, you know, nice big leaves and a plant that grows often and puts out new growth frequently, you do want to give it, you know, enough light, adequate lighting for it to be able to do that. So the recommendation for a plant like this is always usually bright indirect light. So yeah. So let's talk about soil. So this plant is currently in my usual soil mix. I have so many videos on that: orchid bark, pumice, coco coir, or horticultural charcoal. You know right now. I would really like to transfer this plant into leca relatively soon. So I feel like it's kind of unstable right now in this pot, and because it's really top heavy, there's not a lot of leaves in the bottom, so all of the leaves are also really congregated up here when I started figuring out what I was doing. So it's really kind of wobbly and very top heavy. So it needs to be it needs to be repotted at some point anyways, and I'm trying to move my collection more into LECA, so I feel like that is the move for this plant. I just don't know if I want to do it like right now, or if I maybe want to wait until next year and next spring. This plant is like also really happy right now, and it's been popping out leaves very frequently, and obviously if I repot it, that's going to disturb its process. So I don't know yet. I think I'm gonna leave it till next spring, but we'll see, because I do have some other plants I am going to transfer into LECA like in the next couple of weeks, so I'll decide then if I want to transfer this one as well. And then the next time I repot this plant, I'm also going to give it some type of better support. I don't know whether that's going to be a moss pole or just like a better stake, just something less flimsy than this. I do like moss poles quite a bit in terms of like getting me bigger leaves and better growth, but moss poles dry out so quickly that I don't think that functionally for me they're that much better than just like a piece of wood or anything like that. So yeah, okay, let's talk about watering. This plant is quite vocal when it needs to be watered, which is great. When it needs to be watered, all the leaves will droop like this or will curl down like this, and then after you water it, it'll bounce back. I have watered this plant a couple of times recently too, like in the past couple of weeks. Just had like a lot of things going on, so I missed a watering with this plant and it got very droopy, but as soon as I watered it, it bounced right back immediately without any issues at all. So this plant is quite drought tolerant. However, I have noticed that if you are missing a lot of water, the plant will start to drop the bottom leaves. So yeah, definitely don't want to miss too many waterings, but this plant is quite drought tolerant. Okay, anything else I need to talk about? Oh, humidity. Okay, so for humidity, I feel like my plant has gotten used to lower humidity. There used to be a leaf somewhere. Okay, so this plant is on my plant shelf, so it gets no added humidity. It's currently being grown in ambient room humidity, but there was a period of time where this plant was next to the humidifier and it was getting, you know, more humidity, 70 or so percent. And when I moved it, the plant kind of threw a little bit of a fuss by putting out a couple of very small, deformed, ugly leaves. And then it got used to it, and it started putting out just regular sized leaves again. And then those ugly, deformed leaves actually it fell off like naturally. Like I didn't cut it off, it just like naturally fell off, and it was in like the middle of the plant too, so that was really interesting. But yeah, so now it looks great. I like it a lot. Propagation. This plant is quite easy to propagate. The last time I propagated this plant, I did it in moss, and it was fine. So you would want to cut in between the nodes. So this is a node right here, the bumpy part where the aerial roots grow out of, and then this is another bumpy part where aerial roots grow out of. So you want to cut in between. And then I really liked moss propagation for this one. It worked, but moss propagation is also my preferred method of propagation. You can also put it in water, and you can also just stick it into soil, whatever you prefer. I don't think that this plant was hard to root at all. It did take a while, but definitely not difficult. So yeah. Alright, so I think that is all I had to say about this plant. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. I'll talk to you soon. Bye!